All right, my friends, welcome back to Breaking Bricks. I'm your host, Neil. I took last week off. I just needed to take a little breaky break. Hey, everybody's got to take a breaky break from time to time. I had some things I needed to get done. I wanted to hang out with the wife. Not to mention that 2 weeks ago, I found myself in Toledo, Ohio. Ohio is just my sandbox. This is where I like to play. So I like getting out of the house and meeting people. And I was invited to a convention out there. So I went ahead and set up at the Toledo Glass City Center. And, they took real good care of me there. So I got no complaints with that. So, and I got to meet some cool people like Adam, the cab driver. He got to hang out with me for about 45 minutes, maybe a little longer. He's supposed to be getting snacks for his wife and kind of got caught up at my table. And tell your wife I'm sorry, man. Didn't mean to catch it for that long, but, he hung out, checked out the build, and we talked Lego and all kinds of things like Star Wars, and then we went out about our day. And, overall, I had a good time. So, with that, we did a raffle drawing, and we're going to be pulling that ticket as well here in a couple minutes. All right, so this is episode 8 of my Sith Temple on Malacore. I've been working on it for 7 weeks. This is the 8th week. This is how I teach you how to build these kind of big builds. This is probably the last season I'm going to teach some secrets. After that, we're just going to tear into stuff. So you need to keep a watchful eye. I've been learning some big secrets from some pretty cool people. And I can't wait to try some of that stuff. So, without further ado, let's get to the ticket pool. All right, we got our bucket here. I use the raffle. I buy a couple sets and I raffle them off. This helps me pay for a hotel and gas and things for visiting different places and getting to hang out with different people and talking. So I want to thank everybody that participated in that. All right, I have pulled my ticket. All right, so we're going to read off the name of this ticket, and you won an MTT and a battle tank. I want to thank you for participating in my raffle, and this goes to D. Reed. All right, D. Reed, I'm going to be giving you a call here in a couple minutes. As for the rest of us, let's get into this week's build. All right, my friends, we are back at it. Today we're going to focus on the second deck of this. Man, I'm still kind of iffy about how I want to put it together. I have 3 different ways I've thought about it, and the logical way is the original way. The other 2 are a little less brick intense, but then you have this gap here that I'm not so sure would help support the top. So we're just going to go ahead and go at it. Part of the reason why I'm having a hard time with this is because, I use these 16 by 16 flats for a lot of this, and I'm getting close to running out for the first time in a while. I've used a lot of them in this build, probably more than I probably needed to, but hey, like I said, I want it to last a while. It's got to go a lot of places, so we're just going to figure it out. I got enough flats in different sizes that I could probably build what I need, and worst case scenario, that's what I'm going to go with. I'll use the bigger ones on the bottom and the smaller ones on the top, and work out the math that way. So let's just get to it.
All right, my friends, just a reminder that I will be in Oaks, PA, November 8th. You see me walking around checking out some builds for some inspiration. Come up and say hi. Be hanging out with a friend or two. And always willing to talk Lego. Alright, so I'm going to start off here with this red shaft. This is what I have running through the center of my build. It is to keep the smoke from the geyser contained within the center of the build. From the top of the geyser all the way up to the top of the build, the idea is to keep this shaft sealed tight. Otherwise, smoke could leak into the rest of the build and come out some way I'm not predicting. We don't want that. So we want to keep this shaft tight. Alright, so what I've got going on here now is I decided to go with 7 sections. And this section here will be lit up with LED lights. Same with the other side once I get to it. And that will kind of give it a nice glow. Now I don't have many red LEDs, so what I'm going to do is use a trick to get it to light up. And I'm going to use translucent orange bricks for the windowing, and it's going to give it an orange glow. And there's a way to really turn around and make those a lot more brighter. So that's what my plan is. And of course I'm going to use panel work as well on the second deck and in these little sections I'm working on now. Ultimately deciding what brick is going to go where, what color, and trying not to be over redundant. It's the real trick. And I also have to watch for my breaking points. I've already had to go back a couple times and fix a couple of those. No matter how much I plan, I always seem to build over one. Alright, so as you can see, these are kind of cut into two sections here. Now the paneling work is going to lay up in there. And here's a trick for you, and you're going to love when I do this. I'm going to start laying these LED lights into these. And when I do, I'm going to have them facing the black wall in the back, not out towards the window. Reason why I'm going to do that is because I'm going to line it with aluminum foil. It'll cause a light reflection and intensify the brightness. But before we get to that, we have to get these other sections started and in place. Because ultimately, without the side pieces, I really don't know what's going to go where. I've got an idea, but now I got to figure out how to make it all work. Alright, so we've got our two center sections, our middle section, and then the 4 on the outside for a total of 7 sections. As you can see, the outside sections are bigger than the middle sections. The reason for that is because I'm using those to support the majority of the weight. Doesn't matter what color brick I'm using in here because you are not going to see it. Care to take a guess on how many bricks I've used so far? I'm not gonna tell you till the end of the final. Alright, so I am running out of time for the day. We're getting close to being done. But at least I've got this stuff kind of laid out how I want it to go. Ultimately, I need to keep an idea of how I'm going to transport this stuff. That's part of the reason why I went with 7 sections instead of 9. Hopefully it'll all work out in the end.
Well, my friends, we've taken it as far as we can take it this week. What we've gotten done is quite a bit. We've gotten quite a bit of little sections done on this second story here. I'm kind of happy with it. At first, I wasn't positive what direction I was going to take it in and how I wanted to go it. At first, I was thinking of 4 different sections with the corners cut out of them, and then you just carry those 4 sections. But what I decided to do is right now we have 7 sections, but it'll be 9. Smaller, easier to box, easier to carry. Same type of height as down here, so I mean it's going to be thick, so we've got that support to do, but we've got our placement in, and like I said, these things just kind of pop loose and come right off for transport. But once you've got them in place, they should interlock, create the whole top support, and then at the next section I should be able to have 2 sections of that, put them together and set them on top. At least that's what the plan is. So hopefully that'll work out. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so here's the first section that I just popped off. And then we have an identical one there on the other side, as you can see. And then these corners here are just temporary, you know, we've got to finish building those up. But here is the panel work. Now these things just pop right on out just like that other section did. Same with this section here, it just pops right off. As you can see, a couple studs that kind of mount it back in place for easy reassembly. And then 2 more sections. So right now we're up to 7. And I'll have a small center support there that this section and that section will stretch to. So it'll be kind of a hole around this. So the top will sit over top of it quite like so once we get it in place. It's just a pain in the ass to put together, so we just got to take our time and make sure we do it right, because if we don't, it will not come apart right. And of course, I've got my line still dividing, telling me where it comes apart. Over here, there it's separating. Over there, you got to pay a little more attention because it breaks apart in a different way. See? And then, of course, we still got our front we've gotten done. We still got more work to do. Well, my friends, if you like what you saw here today, go ahead and hit the like button. It lets me know I did a good job and helps the algorithm suggest this kind of content to anybody that might be into Lego. And of course, you got a good idea for a build, want to talk Lego, just want to talk in general, go ahead and put that down in the comments below, and I'll get a hold of you as soon as I possibly can. And of course, we cannot grow here as a family. Hit that subscribe button. It takes you a mere half a second. For me, it really does mean a lot. And I'll see you here next time on Breaking Bricks.